Welcome back. Now, universities are being blamed for making it too easy for teaching students to graduate. Pupils are reportedly being given up to 5 chances to pass a basic skills test, which means they're reaching the classroom despite failing the compulsory literacy and numeracy test for initial teacher education.
Yeah, let's get today's take on this with Shelly Horton from 9honey.com.au and journalist John Mango. Shelly, you are the daughter of teachers, old school teachers.
Yeah.
So this teachers, I mean, they're failing students if they're being sent to teach and they're not ready.
100%. So this is actually where I think the responsibility goes back onto the university, and it should not be that you get 5 attempts to pass this exam. I think that it should be, make it 2 or 3, because I think 1 is a bit too hard, but we've just got to up the standards, and I think it all comes back to the best way to up the standards is to actually increase the pay that we have for teachers. Now, the Labor government saying if they get in that they're going to look at having a $40,000 cash incentive for teachers. I think that sounds amazing. I'm not sure how we can afford it. This is the big conundrum, and I think that's one of those things that we have to just draw a line in the sand and go, this is the way it is. We're going to pay them more and we're going to make sure that they have to work damn hard.
So, John, this test was meant to weed out poor teachers before they graduated from universities. Do you think this is why our education standards are slipping?
Well, I think there are 2 things going here. I've long said and still believe I don't care about, because part of the criticism is the low ATAR going into teachers' college. I don't.
So you just called it Teachers' College. Well, now, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I remember coming through school and it was you'd go to Teachers' College.
Correct.
Is it still college or
No,
is
it's
it university?
No, it's university now. My parents went through Teachers' College.
Yeah, that's
I
what
think
it was
it's changed.
called. But teachers' university.
Yeah.
I don't care the ATAR that you go in with. I care about the number that you come out with. Because a lot of good teachers didn't do that well at HSC, but found themselves while they were learning to become teachers.
Okay, yeah.
And 5 cracks at getting it right before you go from university into the classroom is very generous. We can't have teachers, as Shelley says, who are not literate, who can't tell the time, who can't work out if you add 40 minutes to that period, does that put us into playtime?
Yeah.
You know, they've got to be on top of it. And I think 5 chances is very generous. Your solution is the only solution. I don't know about $40,000 in a cash bonus, but up the pay and attract a better standard of candidate. We'll get better teachers.
Up the ATAR level too.
Yeah, true.
Well, again, the ATAR. You mean the score coming out of it? Yeah, not the score going in.
No,
yes.
I think the score going in actually needs to be raised too, because if you're going to raise the pay,
you get a high standard going in.
Yeah.
We're going to pay you more.
But in other words, make it a tougher job and get paid more money to do it.
Yeah.
There you go. Also making news is half of teenagers will never marry when they're teenagers. That's according to a survey which found that young people are falling out of love with this old concept of I do and being married, John. 57% of girls aged between 13 and 18 will become a wife or a husband later in life, compared to 80%. Yeah. This is a real drop in numbers. We're seeing things like this around the world where like the millennials are sort of going, that old way doesn't really fit with us anymore. Yeah,
well, it's consistent with the disposable society, isn't it? We don't fix things anymore. No,
John.
No, seriously, we don't fix things anymore.
Warning,
we
Will
replace
Robinson,
things.
danger, danger.
Because I not only said I do, I did. So did you, and so did you.
Yeah.
So
We've done it.
We've all done
it twice.
But I think you liked it so much you did it again. She liked it so much you did it twice.
Double dipping.
You know what it is? I think now that de facto relationships are recognised almost with the same credibility as the legal marriage.
Yeah.
It's taken a lot of the sanctity out of the institution itself, because if you love each other...
Also, it's bloody expensive to get married.
And it's
for a lot of people.
expensive.
Why do I want to do that if I can get a house?
And a lot of people quite rightly say, I know I love her or him and I know they love me. What's the problem? You know, and we're living happily together.
Yeah.
Fine.
Shelley, the study also found current marriage rates among under 25s has plunged to virtually 0.
Well, I get that, because I got married when I was 29, and even then I was just like, who am I? I don't even remember that person. I don't think you've become the person you're going to be.
Not until
under
Saturn
25.
returns.
You know, exactly. So I totally get that. I think also the divorce rate is so high that it's not the institution that it used to be. It used to be that you didn't have a choice. You left school, you got married, you had kids.
Yeah.
That was the way it worked.
It's so commonplace now. I actually saw a bank advertising like a separation.
I love that.
Did you see that?
That actually made me cry.
Yeah.
I really liked it. But to me, that's actually speaking to what a lot of kids and parents are facing at the moment. So actually advertising, saying that this is normal, this happens, so don't worry too much about it, we'll look after you.
Although,
that's okay.
Can I say to all the kids out there, if you're watching, you want to do it, it's pretty good if you get the right
Well,
person.
if you get the right person.
Yeah, it's pretty tops.
There's even a classic old-fashioned joke about it, isn't there? You know, the happiest day, the second happiest day of my life was the day I got married. And you say, well, what was the first happiest day? The day I got divorced.
Shelly and John are going to stay with us, and when we come back, we reveal the one trait people find most attractive in a potential partner. So we think.
Now, a study has revealed the one trait that makes people more attractive. A whopping 93% of respondents say they'd prefer to date someone, no, not with abs, Dave, someone who can speak a foreign language.
Oh, well, ohio gozaimasu, everybody. Shelly and John are here to discuss this. Shelly, muy bien.
Muy bien, gracias. ¿Y tú?
So 61% say they'd be prepared to learn another language to improve their wooing capability. Would you go that far for another language?
Absolutely not. Let's face it, I mean, French, Italian, Spanish, they are sexy. However, I studied Spanish for one semester at university, and then I went to Cuba, and it turns out that the days of the week and colours, not that helpful. You can't actually communicate. I need to call this study as a bit of a furphy because it was funded by Babbel, which is an app that actually teaches you language.
I know, I've
so
seen that.
I don't think that
No,
this is
don't
like...
ruin our
I'm sorry.
segment.
I'm sorry.
What's wrong with you?
Do you speak Greek?
God
Yeah, I do.
damn it.
Oh, what, say something to us in Greek.
Well, ego milao eliniga, which means to say that I do speak Greek. And
It's not sexy, though.
Greek's not as sexy as Italian or French, I agree. I don't know if having that ability was any good for me when I was dating, but it's handy sometimes as a code to be able to switch into a second.
Yeah, I think people see it too as a sign of intellectual prowess.
Intelligence,
you know, it's like
100%.
you
It's
can-
really hard to learn a language. So those
Hard to
people...
learn English.
And here's the thing, and that's why the study does have a little bit of legitimacy, because if you ask what really do you find attractive, most people would say intelligence.
Yeah.
And having a second language loops
Is a sign
into
of it.
intelligence. So, yeah.
So that says the bilingual. So,
You know, look at me. Look at me.
Calimero.
He's like...
Calimero.
Just saying.
He's got...
Yasu Leveni.
And yet he had no words.
She just told me she loved me. And none of you got it. None of you got it. None of you got it.
That's
HR
because
did.
he's polymorpha mavromalia.
Abromalia.
How dare you both talk about me like that? What did you just say?
Tiene condulis.
Don't talk about my condoleezza, man.
Bodia.
I told you to keep your eyes off my condoleezza.
Give me bodia. No,
Stop pointing at my condoleezza.
I don't know what I'm saying. I think I just said you have ugly legs. I don't know.
Oh, that's fair.
And I
To be
called-
fair, that is
But
fair.
nice black hair.
Yeah.
Did I
And
say
then I
that?
called you a short ass.
Well, keep those Greek
Apologies
slurs
to
coming
all
to
our
me
Greek
on
viewers.
Facebook and Twitter. I'll take your Greek slurs. I don't have to
How do
go
you
to
say
anything.
sorry? How do you say sorry?
The Greeks don't have a
Signor
word.
me.
Signal me.
I want to signal you. That's what I definitely want to do. John and Shelly, good to have you both.
Thank you,
Thank
Shelley.
you.
Coming up on
Condoleezza.
Today Extra Australia.